Jewells68 here for Talk to Me Tuesday on Tuesday, September 22nd. Recording later than usual this week. I'm on my lunch break from work, and I have a couple of things to show you that I've been working on, one of which is the monkey quilt for baby Beckett, which you can see a bit of the back here. I finished quilting yesterday, and I finished, I believe I finished burying the threads this morning. So I'm ready to trim the sides, trim the batting off the ends, off the outside, and square it up and bind it, after which I'll need to obviously wash it and label it. So it is well on its way. I quilted it on my trusty Singer 301A, and you'll notice I have a new addition to my sewing room, and it is this extension table that I have put together for my Singer 301A, which is, I've decided that since I do have a free motion foot and I do have a walking foot for the 301A, and it sews such beautiful even stitches, and I'll show you some close-ups of that when I show off the finished quilt, hopefully next week. I've decided it's going to be my quilting. For now, this is going to be my go-to for quilting, and so I'm going to want to probably set it up on its own table, because right now I have my Kenmore just sort of shoved back here. And I'll do my piecing and other sewing, craft sewing, whatever, probably on the Kenmore. It's a workhorse for the paper piecing. It's a tank, so it doesn't mind the paper piecing at all. The 301A doesn't either, but obviously I want it to last a long time, so I'll be quilting on this. This table, the reason I have this table now is I signed up for a free motion quilting class. I finally took the plunge, and my class is this Sunday. It's a beginning machine quilting, or introduction to, not machine quilting, introduction to free motion quilting, or maybe it's basic free motion quilting, something like that. Anyway, and I don't have my book yet, because they didn't have it in stock when I registered for the class, but hopefully I can get it Sunday. But one of the things it suggests that you bring is the extension table that came with your machine. Well, you know, obviously I'm using a machine that they're not used to seeing, probably, and I don't have an extension table, or I didn't. So I looked into ordering one, and my goodness, the custom ones that fit your machines are freaking expensive. And I had seen these tables at Joann's before. It's actually made, it's Simplicity brand, and it's made for the Simplicity Deluxe Rotary Cutting and Embossing machine that they sell, and which is the bigger sized one rather than the small one, because they have a small one with a smaller table. And I remember looking at it at the store and thinking, God, that looks like it would fit my machine, but I'd have to measure it to make sure. So I did some research online after not really finding any good tutorials to make my own, and I do have pictures of one that Jennifer's friend made out of pegboard, but I really wanted something nice and slick like this plastic, or like acrylic or something like that. So rather than buy a sheet of acrylic and then have to smooth it down, and I really wanted the rounded, smooth edges and everything, I did some research on the sizing of this and the size of the rotary cutting and embossing machine, and it was the same size. So I measured the Singer, and I went to Joann's and I measured the opening here, but there's this like weird little lip in here, and I couldn't find, I couldn't really think of a good way. I tried filing some of it off. Basically the opening was exactly the size that it needed to be up top, but the little lip that sits underneath that makes it slide really nicely onto the rotary cutting machine makes it stick out too far to have the table up a little bit higher than it is right now. But if I have the table down just a hair, the lip of the 301 slides right onto it. It's like it's made for it. It's really cool. So if you know anybody that has one of these machines and they're wanting to get an extension table, the Simplicity Rotary cutting, deluxe. You got to get the deluxe because it's the bigger one. The other one has a weird shaped extra plastic projection that would get in the way of a sewing machine, the small one. But the big one is an 18 by 24, so it's a good sized deal. The only problem with this is, problem and a blessing actually, the legs are supposed to be really cheapy and bad. I got this for slightly less than $20, and they normally sell for close to $40 at Joann's. They had either somebody had lost or stolen the legs that come with it, because they don't come attached. They come in a little bag. The bag wasn't there, so that's why they had them for so cheap, and you couldn't return them or anything. So I finally took the plunge, and I thought I'll figure out a way to add some legs. I wandered all over Joann's the day I bought this, looking for something that would fit in the holes that the legs go in, and I finally came across one thing that looked like it would work, and it was in a children's crafts, and it was craft foam. I think it's called foamies, but it was foam marshmallows. So I bought a bag of foam marshmallows, which had 15 marshmallows in it. Sadly, there are 8 leg holes here, so I could only make 7 legs, and I have 1 marshmallow left over. I basically took 2 of the foam marshmallows, and I attached them together to each other with white duct tape. So, yeah, so I have marshmallow legs on my extension table, but so far they're working really well. If you have to move the table at all or adjust it, the legs fall off, so I need to glue them in. But actually I bought some PVC stuff at Lowe's yesterday morning that I'm going to see if I can make into permanent legs for this guy. And I will talk more about that after I figure it out. But right now, I'll insert some pictures of before and after of the extension table here. So that's enough about the extension table. I'm just really proud of it. I have to tell you, that day I was like, okay, I don't know who else has marshmallow legs for their table, but right now I do, and I quilted this quilt twice as fast, at least, from any quilt I've done previously. Now part of that is that obviously you add on your experience every time you quilt a quilt, and so I get a little bit better and faster each time. But I think part of it was this table. It just made it that much easier to move things, to move the quilt itself, and to just maneuver everything. I'm so glad that I figured this out and that I have it to take to my class. That being said, like I said, I'll show off that quilt once it's completely done. I'm not going to show it off now. And trying to think if there's anything else. I guess that's it. It was just the table and the quilt. So here's the quilt. Hey, I had to do a piece back, and I love these colors. I had a lot of fun quilting the quilt, I have to say. I did some really basic straight line right down the middle to start, and then because I have the different sized blocks in opposite corners, I have big ones and then smaller ones. And they're both stars, but they're different kind of stars. I did different quilting. The 2 Missouri star ones that are I think they're called Big Star, those 2 have a certain kind of quilting, and the 2 that were wonky stars have a certain kind of quilting, and each of the wonky stars kind of match each other, and each of the big stars kind of match each other, but they're different from each other, if that makes sense. The wonkies, the quilting on the wonkies is different than the quilting on the big stars. So, and I had some fun with it. I got creative with it and kind of just made it up as I went along. I even made my own template out of, if I can find it, a piece of cardboard that came in one of the fat quarters in my swap. And yeah, so I used this to figure out angles, and I did sort of a cool quilting thing that I'll show you when I have it all done. But I ended up using this and just using my what's it called? Line. My Line ceramic pencil to trace designs. I used my walking foot for the whole thing, but I have some different stars, and I outlined a couple of stars, and I made my own star, and I think it'll be kind of fun. So yeah, I'm excited about that. And I guess that's it. I look forward to watching your videos, and I'll see you next week. Bye!